There was a beautiful country. It was the land of fortune. It held a third of the world's wealth. Let's call this country you. Over time, you outsourced its core strengths, the brain work and the brawn work. All of it. It sent them to two neighboring countries. Let's call them I and C. A few decades passed. Due to outsourcing, the muscles softened, the mind dulled. One day you woke up and said, let's build our mind and muscles again. We will be great again. Will country you succeed? It's a $1 million question. No, it's a multi-trillion-dollar question. Friends, my talk is not geopolitics. You is not a country. You is you, me, and all of us in the room. I and C are not two countries. They are integrated circuits. They are the chips, the tiny chips that are in our phones, our cars, our AI. Billions of transistors, trillions of operations per second. And guess what? 1 gigabyte of data you can access at 10 cents, the cost of a cup of tea. When you hold so much of compute power and access to the data in your hand, we outsource our mind. My message today is simple. Do not outsource your mind. Learn how to use the machine without losing the muscle. This talk is not anti-technology. I love technology. It has put rockets in human potential. But we must choose when to lean on the tool and when to train the mind. If we stop doing the work, our abilities do not pause. They decline. In fact, they atrophy. Attention weakens, memory fades, judgment dulls, and that's cognitive debt. And the interest is rising. Please hold one idea throughout this talk. Use technology like a coach and not a crutch. A coach helps you do more of the right hard work, and a crutch replaces the work. Many years ago, I could dial at least 20 numbers from my memory. Today, maybe 2. Nothing is wrong with my brain. I outsource my memory to your phone. Calculators do the arithmetic. Quick commerce does our planning. Search engines find answers faster than we can ask better questions. AI can write the essay at a click. I looked at some of the ongoing research in this area, and I could see about 6 mental faculties that are being eroded as we depend more and more on these tools. The first one, memory. Betsy Sparrow and a team, they ran a very powerful set of 4 experiments, and they found a pattern. When people face difficult questions, they mentally reach for the computer first. If they believe they can look upon the information later, they remember less of the content and more of where to find it. But if they think the information will be erased, probably the recall improves. And this is the danger. Search engines shift what we remember. People remember where to find the information more than the information itself. The web has become a shared external brain. And friends, we outsourced memory. The second mental faculty, navigation skills. In an interesting study, Lucia Damani and fellow researchers, they tested the drivers on navigation tasks. And this navigation, by the way, it relies on the hippocampus, the brain's mapping engine. They found habitual GPS users performed worse when they were asked to navigate without guidance. They noticed fewer landmarks, they built weaker mental maps, and they used poorer driving strategies. And a subset of these drivers came back 3 years later for the same study. The pattern continued. The more they used GPS, the steeper the drop in the hippocampal tasks. The behavior of outsourcing turn-by-turn prompts predicted this erosion. And friends, we outsourced mental mapping skills. The third mental faculty, learning depth. This was an interesting experiment by Pam Miller and Daniel Oppenheimer. They had students organized into two groups, a group that took notes on their laptops and a group that took notes by hand. And they were given tests later. The students who typed on the laptops captured more words, but scored lower on conceptual questions. Why? Typing nudged them into recording words and not processing ideas. Even when they were told not to transcribe, the habit stayed. A week later, both the group of students were given an assessment, and those who wrote by hand, they outperformed those who typed. Writing by hand forces you to select, paraphrase, and structure. And friends, this mental effort is called learning. We outsourced learning capability. The fourth, and this is even more interesting, and I'm sure all of us are using this, language and originality. This was a good work done by Ken Arnold and team. They studied what happens when you write with predictive text. With suggestions on, people wrote shorter text and, interestingly, used fewer new words. The suggestions definitely made you write faster, but became more predictable. And the predictive system are trained on yesterday's language. If we accept those suggestions by default, we converge to the median, and our words become average. And this average then trains the next model. It's a loop that drifts towards the safe and the same. We outsourced our language skills. The fifth mental faculty, imagination. The World Health Organization says 0 screen time for infants. And it's a common sight in our homes where we happily use mobile screens to feed infants and toddlers. The publicly available data suggests the average time an Indian adult spends on screen is anywhere between 5 to 7 hours. That's 25% of your day. You can check your own mobile screen time. What's the concern here? In a research led by Sebastian Saget at the University of York, young adults were formed into two groups. One which read a text, and the other which just watched the clips. And then they asked them to do mental imagery tasks. Those who had just watched the clips were slower to generate images, whereas the readers stayed nimble. If we consume only pre-made pictures, we practice less of imagining. Reading keeps the inner camera active. That feeds creativity, planning, and empathy. And friends, we have outsourced our imagining skills. And the sixth, this is very interesting, and this faculty I think we lost long ago, calculation and trust. In an interesting set of experiments conducted by Mark Lacour and team, an on-screen calculator was presented to the students. And this calculator was designed to occasionally return wrong answers. Many students accepted those answers without question. It's clear from these research papers that I'm quoting that our mentor faculties are being eroded. Memory, navigation, learning skills, language skills, imagination, calculation and trust are getting eroded. The lesson is clear. Tools are powerful, but we must keep judgment in the loop. So what do? We throw away our phone? No, we don't throw away our phone or AI. We change how we use them. I want to offer 3 concepts and then a simple playbook you can start using from today. The concept 1, serendipity. Serendipity is finding something valuable that you are not looking for. It rewards who are attentive and curious. If you only take the shortest path that a tool suggests, you miss the side streets where the discovery lives. 2 quick stories. In 1928, Alexander Fleming saw a mold which killed the bacteria in his petri dish. Instead of just throwing it away, he looked closer. That curiosity gave us penicillin. In 1940s, engineer Percy Spencer stood near a radar equipment and he saw the chocolate in his pocket just melted. He tried popcorn, he tried eggs, and that mess became microwave oven. Accidents do not do the work, attention does. Serendipity needs an open eye and the habit of asking, what else could it be? If we automate away all the wandering, we cut off the routes where happy accidents happen. Let me introduce the second concept, which I call desirable difficulties or productive struggle. Some difficulty is good. It makes learning stick, recalling before you reread. It feels slower today, but becomes stronger tomorrow. And technology can erase all these useful struggles. Calculators give the exact number before you form an estimate. Autocomplete writes the next sentence before even you decide what you mean. If you always accept the shortcut, you skip the step that builds this muscle. So keep a simple rule. Compute first and then confirm. Estimate 47 times 19 in your head and then check. Draft a statement of purpose yourself and then invite AI to come in, not to author your life. Search with a hypothesis, not a blank box. And these small frictions are your gym. And the third concept is anti-fragility. Some things break under stress. Some things resist stress. A few get better with stress. Your immune system is one. It gets better with stress. Your character is another. It gets better with stress. Many cognitive skills are the same. If you expose attention, memory, and reasoning to a controlled challenge, they grow stronger. 10 minutes of study with all notifications turned off. A team that critiques its own idea before presenting it. Or from the industry that I am in, a developer who tries to break the code that he or she has built before shipping. These add healthy stress. Over time, you become the person who does not panic when the tool is down or when the network is down or when the prompt fails. Let me now give you a practical playbook. It's easy to remember. The acronym is Becoming Human or Being Human. Humaner. Humaner. A 7-step protocol. And the promise is simple. Use AI to amplify and not replace. Be humaner. The first one, H, handwrite first. Use the green pen protocol. Write the first draft in your own words and then ask AI for comments. Keep your nouns, your stories, your stakes. Because your life is the data AI does not have. The second, U, unplug weekly. Practice a manual Friday. Once a week, do a routine task with minimal automation. Plan your next week on paper. Draft by hand for 10 minutes. And this resensitizes attention. The third, M, memorize essentials. Memorize 5 important telephone numbers. Parents, a friend, an emergency contact, and your own. It takes a few minutes a day. You will feel the memory muscle wake up. A, ask better questions. Use Socratic search. Turn every query into a better question. Don't ask which are the best colleges in Chennai. Ask what criteria matters for you. What trade-offs by department. What is the placement versus research culture in this college? You get better answers when you ask better questions. N, number sense first. Compute first and then confirm. Before any calculator or AI, write your rough approach. And after you check, write one line on what your estimate missed. And that builds the number sense and metacognition. E, explore by design. Schedule serendipity slots. This is my favorite. 2 10-minute windows each week for deliberate wandering. Read one page from a field you know nothing about. Open a journal you have never seen. Follow a footnote. Capture one idea. R, the last of the 7. Red team the answer. When AI or Google gives you an answer, spend 3 minutes to prove it wrong. Check an opposing source. Look for an edge case. Ask what assumption is hidden here. And this builds judgment. These 7 moves make a simple operating system. They are small enough to do, but strong enough to matter. Let me zoom out a bit and connect back with the research and this humaner approach. So we saw there are 6 human faculties which are eroding: memory, navigation, learning, language skills, imagination, calculation, and trust. We saw 3 concepts: serendipity, productive struggle, anti-fragility. And then the humaner, the 7-step protocol. Let me connect these for you. The memory study showed that if we expect to search, we do not store the content. Handwriting and human drafting restore that first pass. The navigation work showed that outsourcing erodes the brain's mapping skills. Serendipity and manual Friday puts you back in the world to notice and orient. The note-taking studies showed that speed without processing weakens the learning. Handwrite first and ask better questions, and that pushes you into processing. The predictive test study showed that suggestions narrow your words, narrow your voice. Draft first in your own words and retain the output. The calculator study showed blind trust. Compute first and then confirm and use real-world checks. The imagery work showed that screens can reduce self-generated images, explore by design, read more than you scroll. In short, evidence says the tool changes us. My answer is to change how we use the tool. Let me make this concrete. For the next 30 days, choose one faculty to train: attention, memory, reasoning, judgment, or imagination, and pair it with one of the humaner tools. If you are a student, resist the urge to let AI speak for you. Use it to think with you. If you are a teacher, grade the process and not just the product. Ask for oral defense. Ask for the draft log. If you are a parent, make reading a shared habit and play simple estimation games at the dinner. These are small human moves. They bring big human returns. I will close where I started. Chips are getting faster, data is getting cheaper, and that's not going to stop. The question is whether we keep our pen in our hand, whether we design the friction that builds the muscle that makes us strong, and whether we choose to be the human in the loop. Keep your tools, keep your speed, keep the pen in hand. Do not outsource your mind. Train it, test it, trust it. Thank you.